TDPK Podcasts, Thailand GameChanger, inside the minds of Thailand's innovators. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Thailand GameChanger. Today, we are joined by Suebsiri Taweepon, a partner at Tilleke Gibbins, and Nopparat Lalitkomon, a senior associate at the same place. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on and doing this today. And before we get to the main part of our conversation, let's start with a little bit of your backgrounds. And Kunoil, maybe we can start with you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for having us here. My name is Suebsiri Taweepon, or you can call me Oil. Oil is like gasoline.
Because you are on fire.
Yeah, much easier than Suebsiri. I know that. I graduated my bachelor degree from Chulalongkorn University. Then I finished my master degree at Thammasat. Then I further my second master degree from Duke University from North Carolina. When I finished my master degree, Mom wanted me to be an interior designer. My dad want me to be a judge, and then I end up as a lawyer focused on intellectual property. Today, I started my job as the legal officer at the Supreme Court for 2 years.
Okay.
Then I had some idea of how to be what would the daily life of the judge would be at the Supreme Court.
Right.
And then I tried to apply for a job at Tilleke Gibbins to try private practice as a lawyer. Then 17 years passed. I'm still here at Tilleke Gibbins with primary focus on intellectual property and technology related matters.
Got it. I want to jump in for a second before we get to Pong, right? Because first of all, the North Carolina thing is really interesting to me. But even if we back up a little bit further, did you say your dad wanted you to be an interior designer? I mean, I'll put it to you this way. In my family, my dad wanted me to be a lawyer. My brother's already a doctor. So it's just interesting. Did you find it interesting when your dad said that to you?
It's actually my mom. My mom, excuse me. My mom, she's an interior designer, so she
wanted you to follow on.
Maybe I would be interested to work with her or
That's
to
awesome.
deal with the family business. My dad wanted me to be a judge because it looks
a judge. All right.
Ooh, it looks great.
It does great. It does. Okay, Pong, go ahead. How about your background?
Okay, thank you. So my name is Nopparat Lalitkomon. So you already know my nickname. My nickname is Pong. I'm graduated from Thammasat Universities, and then I continue my master degree at Glasgow University in Scotland, UK. Yes, and after that, I came back to Thailand and start working at Big Four, and then I moved to Tilleke Gibbins. So now I've been with Tilleke Gibbins for about 2 years.
Okay.
Yes, and my main practice is telecom, media, and technologies, including cybersecurity, data privacy, and also fintech.
Wow, you are definitely in the right place at the right time. Kunoil, can you give us some background on Tilleke Gibbins? I mean, just a little bit of my research. It sounds like a fascinating firm.
Sure. Thanks, Michael. We have established since 1890. So Tilleke Gibbins is actually the oldest and largest independent law firm in Thailand. We are also a leading regional law firm with over 200 lawyers practicing in Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam. As I said, that it has been since 1890, so we're supposed to celebrate our 130th year of celebration last year, but due to the pandemic, so we cannot. So we are a full service law firm. We act for different stage of startup, of course, including accelerators, incubation programs. That would include university spin-off, multinational tech companies, VC firms with a particular focus in AI, robotics, e-commerce, edtech, fintech, health tech spaces. Our experience span a full range of from corporate, commercial, intellectual property, and dispute resolution. We help our clients secure protection of innovation and ensure legal compliance to pave the way for market success in Thailand and Southeast Asia.
That's really interesting. When was the startup practice begun? I mean, the whole ecosystem here is only about 10 years old. Have you, as a firm, been involved in it from the beginning?
Well, when we talk about startup, people have a hype of the tech startup. But when we talk about startup, it's in fact a small and medium enterprise, right? Like
an SME business too. Yep.
Like a new business. So we help clients from small business hold their hand until they enter into the stock market, or even the multinational companies to set up small office, their branch office in Thailand. So when we talk about tech startups, so that means small companies with focus on technology, and we help them with all the license required to obtain in Thailand and in other countries. We help protect their innovation through the appropriate protection of intellectual property, whether trademark, patent, or copyright. So that's how our full team of lawyers would serve the client for this type of tech startup companies.
Got it. And how important, maybe Pong, you can answer this as well, but how important are these legal documents that startups need? I mean, I think from a legal perspective, a lot of startups like, yeah, never mind, I'll just get my company started. I'm more concerned about having clients and stuff like that. And they do legal later. But how important is it to have these docs in place?
Sure. So as Kun Oi said, we did help our client at the first stage, which means that we help them to incorporate their entity in Thailand. So the legal document will involve at this stage. So they need to prepare all legal documents that need to be submitted to the relevant authority in Thailand. And some of their business require specific license. And we did help them to apply for those licenses as well. We consider this legal document as external legal documents. But also we do help them to prepare internal legal document as well, which is a contract, like a legal contract between their partners, between their service providers, etc.
How about stuff like incorporation documents or even shareholder agreements, right?
Yes, correct.
So those are pretty important?
It's really important, yes. The structure of the shareholder agreement set out all the obligation, warranties, and also like indemnification clause amongst the parties. Yes.
And go ahead.
Well, let me give you a little bit of a picture when we zoom out of these legal documents, as you mentioned.
Okay.
I think things that we might want to focus primarily is the legal issue that would concern the legal tech startup. So that would be we can break down on that issue to be corporate compliance, labor and employment, taxation, crowdfunding, investment, intellectual property, financial service, data privacy. Things like this would always come with paperwork, and that's how us as a lawyer would help the business to comply with all the laws and regulations, with all the paperwork that we can help them with.
Yeah, and my guess is that most people, whether they're starting an SME or doing a tech startup, don't have the embedded knowledge to be able to do that on their own at any level, right? And I'm curious, you said, your firm is a regional firm. Mm-hmm. Are these things really different, nuanced difference, whether it's in Cambodia or in Malaysia or Indonesia or in Thailand or Singapore? How different is that?
Well, the basic idea and the preparation of these legal documents and legal issues are not that much different, as I mentioned, for all of this major legal concern. But the regulations and compliance can be different based on the local laws and local requirements. For example, the license to operate their business in particular type of area. For example, medical related matters, or education, any of the fintech related matters. So this type of compliance or license that we need to get permission from the relevant government officer can be different, and the practice, the time frame, the length, and the number of documents can be different from country to country.
Got it. And one of the documents that gets shared, maybe even before the companies are formed, is, and I'm always curious about this, right, is a non-disclosure agreement. I have a great idea. I want to get funded, maybe even before I incorporate. And sometimes I think founders get nervous that someone's going to steal their idea. So they make their investors or somebody sign an NDA. And I've always wondered, how enforceable is an NDA, or what's the punishment for violating one? And I've read through tons of them and I've seen them. And I've also seen people move and just say, we don't need one. But what's a lawyer's view on this? Like, how enforceable is it? What happens? How does that work?
Well, NDA or non-disclosure agreement is commonly used for discussing early stage of the new tech with new partners or stakeholders. When you have a new idea and you want to share your ideas with the possible business partner, you do not know at the early stage whether you would hold their hands until your company would enter into the stock market, right? So sharing your ideas can involve sharing the confidential information that would be so valuable in business, and that confidential information can be protected under the trade secret law. So if you ask about the enforceability of the NDA, it really depends. When people talk about the NDA, it's the things that we should focus is the scope of the confidential information, whether it's too broad or it's too vague, and to what extent it would cover such confidential information, whether it would cover the actual confidential information that no one actually have never heard about it before, or it would be like common knowledge that you think is confidential, but the rest of the business know it already. So this will be the scope of the confidential information that you would like to think about. But I still suggest that at the early stage of the discussion is still very important for discussing with anyone, particularly for the idea that would involve valuable innovation to be used in the tech companies.
I got it. So one of the other things that I wonder about, right, is a lot of tech startups, and you know this because of your regional focus, a lot of tech startups incorporate in Singapore. They used to do it in Hong Kong, but now they're kind of afraid of the impact of China. So most of them are now doing their incorporation in Singapore. Even big companies that people know that started like in Malaysia, like Grab, are Singapore entities now. What do we think needs to change legally to encourage more startups to have their domicile in Thailand? Obviously, if you're a Thai startup and you're focusing on the Thai market, it doesn't make sense to be incorporated anywhere else. But what needs to change for more foreign companies to actually incorporate here? It's a great place to have a startup, yeah?
Yes. Actually, this question is really good. And I think most of the business already concerned about the complexity of the law and also the complexity of the procedure or process for example, to obtaining the license. Some certain license require 30 to 60 business day to obtain the license. So I think if the government agency can reduce the timeline in providing license to those business operators, I think this would be great. And also during the COVID-19 situation, I think I see some development from the government agency that they try to use the technologies to facilitate the business operators to, like, for example, apply for like incorporation of the company in Thailand, or also applying for the license. But it would be better if all government agencies apply the similar technologies to facilitate other business operators as well.
Kunal, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I think many of us have the same similar pain point when contacting government agencies, that all the formalities, time-consuming, a lot of paperwork, and we need to. You experience that as well, Michael, that you have to sign to certify true copy of documents and everything, every legal documents that need to be submitted to the Thai government.
Right.
So all these formalities, all this procedure have been reviewed heavily during the past years, particularly during the pandemic. So we have seen many government offices try to improve their or to shorten all the procedure that could be some of them might not be very significant, or and to review and apply only the necessary procedure to be used during the entire process, with particular emphasis on using technology many of the government offices started to use electronic filing through the website of government office without the physical contact between the people who submit such application to the government office. So this helped us a lot for traveling time. You know how bad it is for the traffic in Bangkok, travel from one place to another place. But if we can do so many applications through online, this would help save a lot of time. And we have seen this very promising improvement for the Thai government.
There are two kind of follow-on questions, if you don't mind, and I want to break it down into two small pieces. When early stage companies raise money, it's hard to determine what they're worth, right? So that's the difference between like an equity price round, and sometimes companies want to raise early money, $300,000, $500,000, $700,000, using a convertible note. Are convertible notes now, is that an available process for startup companies in Thailand yet, or is that still being worked on? And I guess the other question is there a reason, is there a great reason why?
Okay, Paul, you can start.
Yeah, sure. Actually, for the fundraisings, I think it would be the main factor is to consider about their business first, the nature of the business, and the amount of the fund. And I think the approach that you just mentioned is workable for the startup as well. But they need to consider like legal environment around when they're raising funds, because there are certain regulations that they need to comply with.
Okay.
I can add one more thing is that when we think about the tech startup companies,
right,
of course, they would like to be attractive to the potential investor. So the knowledge of the founder is one thing, the business plan is one thing, but things that many of investors would look for is the innovation that they would like to contribute to the market. And intellectual property can play a great role for protecting this type of innovation. How can we know that the any ideas or any products to be newly created by that tech company can be appropriately protected under intellectual property system, not only in Thailand but in other countries as well. For example, the products, of course, the function, the feature of the product can be protected under patent law. The external, the aesthetic design of the product can be protected under design patent as well. The brand is very important. The brand to be used to communicate with the consumers can be protected under trademark law. And for trademark and patent would need to be registered. And the registration would need to be on each of the country as well, meaning that each of the brand that you use in Thailand, if you want to protect it in the neighboring country, you have to file that application in another country to protect as well. So intellectual property can be the most valuable asset for investment and funding for any tech companies.
Got it. The Thai government and the Thai regulators have been very, very forward-looking, like very progressive when it comes to cryptocurrency exchanges, just the crypto market in general, and fractionalization of assets. Hong, maybe you can give us a little bit of an update where things stand, and maybe just an opinion as well from both of you on what the impact of that is on the market as a whole.
Yeah, sure. So recently, the Security Exchange Control just approved the tokenized the real estate backed token. So this is the first time that the SEC approved the new token, the new type of token. And actually, this type of token is considered as investment token. But however, the business operator that want to issue this kind of token have to comply with additional requirement issued by the SEC, which is the regulators under the digital asset law. Okay. This is one of the updates that I need to raise. And the second point is about the NFT, non-fungible token.
Tokens, yeah.
Yes. The SEC already issued the notifications that prohibit the NFT to be listed on the exchange platform in Thailand.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But for the I don't know whether you heard about the marketplace, NFT marketplace.
No, tell me.
Okay, so the NFT marketplace is like a market that everyone can sell their NFT online. It's different from a
An exchange.
Exchange,
Right.
yes, and this is like in the gray area whether or not this kind of platform will be regulated under the law. So we still waiting for the official authority to declare whether or not this kind of the platform will be regulated under the law.
Yeah, this is really interesting, right? Because, and Conrad, I'll get to you in a second, but it's very interesting. It almost seems to me more like an e-commerce marketplace, right? Where it's goods and services being sold as opposed to, we can argue about whether it's an investment or not, or whether it's a financial services product, but it'll be interesting to see what they come down with. But what I do think, and I said this at the beginning, is I do think they've been very open-minded about this from the SEC, I think, surprising a lot of people, but moving the ball forward very fast in this space. Sorry, Kunal, please go ahead.
Well, people could be confused about this regulations about the prohibition of the NFT on the exchange platform. So that would be announced by the SEC, right? But Ong just mentioned about the online marketplace for NFT. When we talk about NFT these days, it would mostly be relevant to the digital art that people would purchase it with cryptocurrency on the online marketplace, as Ong just mentioned. And most of those platforms would be hosted in other countries. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're operating a business as an online platform in Thailand for the sale and purchase of the digital art as an NFT on the website as the online marketplace in Thailand is prohibited. So we have to look on this as well.
Is it hard for and this is just an opinion really, not even a legal opinion, but just from your day-to-day work, does it seem hard, because it seems hard to me, for the regulators just to keep up with the speed of innovation? Do you know what I mean? Where just like, and it's not just in Thailand, it feels globally where everything seems to be okay, and then boom, 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 just like new stuff comes out. It just must be hard for the regulators to keep up with this stuff, no?
It's not only hard for the regulators, but it has for everyone to truly understand what exactly technology would have the impact on your daily life. And we all know that on the social media, on the online marketplace, that could be fraud all the time. So people can use this type of technology to get easy money from people who do not truly understand this type of technology. Right. So if you tend to be scared on this type of fraud too much, it is possible that the regulators can be so scared of this type of criminal that would happen in Thailand and try to be quite strict on the new technology. So at the end of the day, we would have to be able to weigh the pro and con on this type of technology and how strict the regulators would apply the new law and regulations to keep updated with the law, or let the tech industry freely operate their business in Thailand or in any other country with the true understanding of the nature of such business.
Right, and particularly in a space like cryptocurrency, and I'll make it even bigger, just with blockchain technology or distributed ledger technology, the ability to fractionalize assets, one thing, but just the ability to innovate in all aspects of the business due to the DLT technology. I just sit on the sidelines and I watch and wonder, by the time the regulators catch up, and we used to see this in the securities business when I was at Goldman Sachs, by the time we innovated on a product and they regulated it, just moved on to something else, right? Because NFTs weren't even a thing a year and a half ago. And now there are marketplaces where you can buy and sell them. It's just hard work, yes?
Yes. It is the pace. The pace is faster. Many people talk about the AR, VR, and mixed reality.
Reality, right.
last year, this year, until we got the announcement that Facebook now they call themselves as Meta to get into more serious on multiverse business.
Right.
So of course, this could be a huge wave, huge impact to everyone. Not only for the market opportunity, but the regulations and the law would have to keep up. But I think the most important thing is that we before we make a decision whether to control or regulate any type of business, we need to truly understand how it works and the actual business that would have the impact in the market.
Yeah, I mean, look, I had a conversation with a woman who runs a business in the Philippines called Yield Guild Games, where they actually pay people in cryptocurrency to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
So successful game players actually get paid to play using crypto.
Mm-hmm.
And that business model, the metaverse, right, is going to be expanded, and it's hard to control in any one particular country. It'll just be interesting to see how that stuff plays out.
Right.
And I don't think we have an answer today, but it's just good that everyone's thinking about it and looking at it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, really interesting stuff. So as companies in Thailand become more successful and they start to expand, let's say into other regions and other countries, what types of legal issues should they consider before they do that, or what should they expect?
Right. I think this is very common. It is similar to when you want to operate the business in Thailand as well. You need to consider whether or not how is the structure going to work. Do they need to like the shareholding structure need to be concerned?
Right.
Do they need to incorporate the local entity in that country, or do they need to apply for certain license to operate the business in foreign country? I think this is like the key topic that they need to be aware of, because they always have like the penalties, which is like mandatory money or like criminal penalty as well in the country.
Go ahead, Oil. Kunal, were you going to follow up on that?
Yeah, and in addition to what Paul just mentioned, we focus primarily on the tech startup. And when we talk about tech startup, of course, they would need to have something new. They need to have something innovative. So that would always involve intellectual property. So for the patent protection for any of the new invention, it must be carefully noted that the patent application needs to be filed before they launch your idea, your product into the market. But this is very important, and that could be considered on each jurisdiction, meaning that before launching your products or your new tech in each of the jurisdiction, you need to secure your patent rights in each of the country. Trademark also important, as I just mentioned. Copyright would be automatically protection. So it could, you might not need to file for recordation of copyright, but it could be a service for each of the copyright office for you to record your copyright work. For example, for the artwork of each of the image or the source code that you use to develop your software.
Is it expensive or time consuming or just hard to get something trademarked?
Normally, it will take about a year.
A year?
A year for the date of filing your application until you receive a certificate. And this is pretty common in any countries.
Yeah. And is it expensive to do? Like, what is the process? I know that's a little bit off topic, but I'm just really curious.
The process, of course, you have to submit application, and the trademark register will review whether your trademark would be sufficiently distinctive to register as a trademark under the trademark law, and then whether that trademark would be confusingly similar to the other registered trademark that file for registration before your application.
Okay, and are these country by country or is it region? Like, how does that work?
Normally, it would be country by country, but there's a international filing system called MATRIX system that you submit that application to the World IP organization, and then you check the country that you would like to your trademark to be protected. But this can be considered as a case by case basis, meaning that if you file for protection for like a couple of countries, I think you should file it for each of the jurisdiction. But if you think that your trademark application will be a big volume of application, let's say like 7 or 8 countries in the same time, yes, we would of course advise for filing through this kind of international filing through the metric system.
Got it. Okay, before I let you both go, Hong, let's start with you. What's going to change the game in Thailand for startup companies?
Well, under the legal perspective, I think the new law is one of the game changer for the business operator, especially for the startup. So I think they need to aware of the upcoming regulations to be issued by the relevant authorities. For example, I'll give you an idea. For example, for the PDPA, the data privacy law in Thailand is going to be effective by June next year, the first June next year. Yes. So many operators in Thailand have to be comply with the new regulation under the PDPA, right? And based on my experience, most of our clients in various industries already aware of the new coming regulations, and they already some of them already implement or roll out the PDPA program in their organizations. And yes, we did help them as well, not only for the legal documents, but also we try to help them structuring their data protection management as well. So I think this is what they need to be concerned.
I understand. Kunoil?
Well, the game changer in Thailand, I think we can look at some of the successful business. I think until today we have officially we have 3 unicorns, right? 3 Thai unicorns company. The first one is a logistic business. The second and the third ones are fintech.
Fintechs.
And apparently 3 of them have their own innovations. They have their platform. They have their know-how to operate their business. So the real game changer is the new innovation that they can use and effectively apply in the business. And again, every innovation needs appropriate protection under intellectual property system. There would be a huge wave of the foreign players using the new technology that have been developed in their headquarters. And it could be pretty simple for them to apply globally in Thailand. So Thai tech startup, I am not saying that the smaller company cannot compete. The smaller company can come up with the new ideas and new innovation that perhaps some of the tech giant may not even think about it. But once you have that idea, you have the proper protection, and definitely you would be able to compete with those tech giants.
Got it. Okay. I want to thank both of you, Suebsiri Taweepon, a partner at Tilleke Gibbins, and Nopparat Lalitkomon, a senior associate. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this today. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you to you too.
Thank you.
TDPK Podcasts, Thailand GameChanger, inside the minds of Thailand's innovators.